I think most of the people here have heard of the phrase, there are two certainties in life, death and taxes. Well, to pay taxes and eventually die, you need to live. So let's tweak this a little bit. There are three certainties in life. You are born, you live, and you die. I think it's hard to argue against those three. We really can't do much about being born. That was more or less up to your parents. Now, as already mentioned, we will all die someday, or I guess upload it to the cloud. So living is where we need to focus. My main area of research is how we can use the environment to help us live longer and healthier. I try to understand how to make the environment work for you, not you work for your environment. One of the most potent ways to live longer and healthier is to be more active. When I say active, I don't mean you have to be running hill sprints or spending hours in the gym. Low barrier activity, such as walking, is an amazing tool to improve health. In fact, my master's thesis quoted Hippocrates, where he stated, "Walking is man's best medicine." A 2018 British Journal of Sports Medicine editorial supercharged this quote, stating, "Walking is humanity's path to a better world." It turns out this ancient Greek physician's advice can aid in a lot of the woes we face today, such as increasing rates of chronic disease and rising pollution. Now that we have established that physical activity is a cornerstone for living well, what is our barrier? Well, unfortunately, not everyone enjoys being active. This is where the environment comes in. And for the purposes of this talk, the built environment. For example, sidewalks, bike paths, and buildings. There are also many types of physical activity, but let's narrow that down as well. Continuing with our walking example, let's use steps as our outcome. We have all likely heard that a goal of 10,000 steps a day provides a wealth of health benefits. But actually, step counts well below this number can really improve your health. Remember, we want the environment to work for you. Okay, let's walk through an example. Pun definitely intended. But first off, I do have a trigger warning. There will be math. Don't worry, not much. I know. You're not mad, you're just disappointed. So let's start our day. We wake up, and since our favorite coffee shop is just around the corner, we go and grab a coffee. It's only a 5-minute walk to the shop or a 10-minute round trip. Now we are ready for work. And since our environment is working for us, there's a great public transportation system in our neighborhood, and it's only a 5-minute walk to get to the bus. We get off the bus, and it's only a 5-minute walk to work. Now let's keep work conservative here and say we have a typical desk job. But since our environment is working for us, there are a lot of great lunch options just a 5-minute walk away. So we have another 10-minute round trip for lunch. After a long day at work perfecting nuclear fusion, we make our way home. Again, that's 5 minutes from work to the bus and 5 minutes from the bus home. Now it's time to think about supper. And because the environment is working for us, there is a store with fresh food options right around the corner, a 10-minute round trip. Lastly, to end the night, we take a walk to a nearby park to fill out our Nobel Prize acceptance speech, another 10-minute round trip. Now it's time for bed. So what was our total? Was anybody actually following? Our total was 60 minutes. 60 minutes, that's an hour of walking just because our environment is supportive. Now let's use some broad strokes here and make for some easy math. But on average, an adult walking for 5 minutes completes around 500 steps. So walking for an hour is 6,000 extra steps. 6,000 extra steps. That is your environment working for you. Those 6,000 extra steps help maintain or even increase your cardiorespiratory fitness, which tends to decline as we age. Those 6,000 extra steps decreased your risk for certain cancers. They decreased your risk for type 2 diabetes. They helped ward off depression and increased your productivity and focus. No wonder you're winning a Nobel Prize. But also note what those 6,000 extra steps allowed you not to do. You didn't drive to and from work. You didn't drive to go get lunch or pick up groceries for supper. You didn't pollute the air, which leads you to getting the most out of your walking because you're walking in less polluted air. You saved money on gas. What if you didn't have a vehicle in general? You saved money on insurance, repairs, and tune-ups. You saved money by getting fresh food instead of throwing out whatever was rotting in your fridge and just ordering pizza. Can you start to see how many synergistic benefits come from having an environment that works for you? When I say we want to make the environment work for you, what I mean is we want the environment to help you make the best option, the default option. During my master's education, I went to Denmark for a study trip. The professor hosting me was kind enough to take me on a tour of Copenhagen, a great city to accomplish the example where we just described, where we did 6,000 extra steps without even thinking about it. If you are not aware, in Copenhagen, bikes outnumber vehicles 5 to 1. There are over 500,000 bicycles in Copenhagen. Having a bike in an activity-friendly neighborhood allows our convenience of a 5-minute walk to become a 5-minute bike, which covers a lot more ground. Think about not just walking to the bus to go to work, but think about biking all the way to work. But what is interesting is the professor told me that a lot of cyclists in Copenhagen don't cycle because they think it'll make them healthier. They cycle because it's easier than driving. Come on, say it with me. Make your environment work for you. Make it the default. I hope I have convinced you about why we should care that our environment is supportive for physical activity. But how do we actually do this? Well, remember those taxes I talked about? Allocating funds and advocating for policies to create active living environments is a great start. In general, the type of policy and environmental change we need has density, diversity, and design, what we cool kids call the 3Ds. Design refers to streets that are easily connected. Diversity refers to places with residential, commercial, and public infrastructure. And in general, density refers to the amount of the previous two. Now, how this actually gets built is where a team of people come in, from urban planners to physicians, from public health researchers to politicians, and developers to the residents themselves. Changing the environment is an interdisciplinary endeavor that can't be tackled in silos. If you are one of those people in the audience today, I implore you to start these conversations. Now, since I opened up by tweaking a well-known phrase, perhaps it is fitting to end with one as well. Ask not what you can do for your environment. Ask what your environment can do for you. Thank you.